Why does Hamas still exist? Seriously. They crossed every single acceptable moral line. They are no different than the Nazis. The only difference is perhaps that they actually film their crimes and barbarism, whereas the Nazis tried to hide it. And Piers Morgan speaks to a senior spokesman for Hamas. All sounds so proper. Spokesman in their suits. I guess the Nazis also wore suits, didn't they? Hugo Boss suits, no less. But Piers Morgan basically calls him out on the fact that they, frankly, have lost every single ounce of... I mean, they never had it to begin with, any moral standing. But what we've seen them doing on October 7th highlighted, revealed more clearly than ever the evil of, frankly, the whole Palestinian cause in its entirety. You know that they still carry... October 7th still carries widespread support among Palestinians. That's among Palestinian surveys. By the way, I know that I shouldn't really use that word because the whole invention is a cynical ploy, blah, blah, blah. But for want of a better term, just so you know what I'm talking about, the Palestine Center for Survey and Research polled them recently, the Arabs in Judea and Samaria and Gaza. And still, it found like 70% support for October 7th or denial. In that context, have a watch of Ghazi Hamad talking about the October 7th evil attempted genocide watch.
I'm sorry, but you crossed every line of humanity
no,
and morality.
This is not true.
Every line. On October the 7th, the actions of Hamas on October the 7th crossed every single moral, ethical, and humanity line.
This is not
Your
true.
people committed acts of utter barbarism against innocent Israelis. You did.
No,
we saw it with our own eyes. Your people, your Hamas terrorists, just to be clear, your Hamas terrorists, your people, they deliberately posted videos of themselves committing their atrocities in real time.
Yeah, but Piers, why you describe Hamas as this organization? Why? Please answer me this question.
Because I think what happened, I'm going to tell you. If you let me answer, I'll tell you.
But just answer me.
On October the 7th, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Hamas is
I will tell you, I
fighting
understand your position.
Yes.
I understand your position, and I understand that you believe you're fighting an occupation. You believe you're therefore freedom fighters. I understand Hamas' position. However, I brand Hamas terrorists because the actions on October the 7th were the actions of a terrorist organization that committed a series of despicable crimes against the Israeli people. There is no justification.
You are not fair.
Well,
you are not fair in this situation.
To be clear, let me ask you one simple question. Why would you take hostage a baby? What possible justification? Never mind all the other crimes that were committed that day. Why would you kidnap a baby?
I told again and again and again. We have no instruction to do that. We never planned to take civilian.
So why did they do it?
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, it's amazing. We see this constantly happen again and again in Jewish history. They do these evil, barbaric acts, and then they deny them. I mean, we have this whole industry of Holocaust denial, the greatest crime against humanity, where the term genocide was coined, was from the Holocaust. And in the aftermath of that, in the decades since, then the Jew haters have to now deny that it's happened on the one hand, while on the other hand, resolving to do it again and saying Hitler was right and saying, we're going to finish the job. If it hasn't already become clear to you yet, what they represent from start to finish is evil. And evil manifests in many ways. It manifests in barbarism and it manifests in lying and manipulating people. Whatever it takes. That's why in the aftermath of October 7th, we saw people on the streets, and on the one hand, we had this dualism again. On the one hand, people are celebrating what's happened as resistance. On the other hand, they're supporting the Palestinians, but denying that it even happened and saying it's all lies and rubbish. This was all just a noble resistance. I don't know if I told you, but I went to speak at a non-Jewish school a few weeks after October 7th, and one of the students could see that I was wearing a kippah on my head, and they said, excuse me, Rabbi. I said, I'm not a rabbi, but hello. And they said, just a question. If I'm backed into a corner and I can't really do much. Am I allowed to attempt to defend myself? Of course, I knew exactly what he's trying to suggest the Gazans are backed into a corner and that they're just defending themselves on October 7th. I mean, it's sickening. That's the worldview that some people can hold. But I thought carefully, shall I play this game or shall I call him out for what he's really saying? So I thought I'd play along for a minute or two. And I said, well, the first thing I'd ask you is, are you absolutely sure that you have been backed into a corner? Or are you facing the consequences of your own poor choices? Because don't forget, Israel withdrew from Gaza in 2005. Stupidly and mistakenly, but they did so. Was it Israel's decision to launch rockets into Israel from Gaza on basically the day after the withdrawal, to elect Hamas, to create this infrastructure and tunnel network and planning of terrorism? How is Israel backing them into a corner? So, you could say in response, if they genuinely wanted statehood, they'd make a success of it and show, look, yeah, we're going to try and make a success of this, but we want more land or whatever, if that's genuinely what this is all about. They just want statehood and don't want instead the annihilation of the Jews and the Jewish state and Jewish equality. Right? So I said that, and they said, no, I genuinely have been backed into a corner. And I said, well, Judaism would say, yes, if you genuinely have been backed into a corner, not of your own doing, you absolutely have the right to self-defense. And then I just cut to the chase and I said, but that wouldn't include raping women and killing children, innocent babies, intentionally, deliberately, targeting them. And I left it at that. And he said, okay, thank you very much. I hope he meant it. But this is the point. This is the point. We have been completely and utterly lied to by the media about what the Palestinian cause is all about. People say, no, we've got to separate the Palestinian cause from Hamas. Hamas are the extremists. They're not doing justice to the importance of the Palestinian cause. I could accept they're not doing justice to the Arabs who live in there because they're brainwashed them, making them hate on Jews, even though my primary responsibility as a Jew is to my own people and doing whatever I need to do for our security. But I could accept, yes, there is a culture that is not good for the Arabs that live there as well, that's teaching them hatred and identity created purely on Jew hate. So I could accept that. As individuals, Hamas aren't doing them any favors. But in terms of the Palestinian cause, their right to self-determination as if it's their indigenous land, no. The Palestinian cause itself is manifested by Hamas, manifested by, frankly, any of these political movements. Show me a Palestinian Arab leader that is conducive to peace, does genuinely represent just a desire for self-determination alongside the Jews. Since its inception to the modern day, the evidence is so clear. This is about destroying the Jewish state. It is not about a desire, a legitimate grievance for self-determination for a unique people. They are Arabs and they say so. And the land of Israel from the river to the sea is the Jewish people's land. And by the way, we are happy for non-Jews to live in our land on one condition, that they respect the values of our country, our society. Oh, and one little thing as well. They don't try to kill us. So we need to say this clearly and plainly. And for people that say, Ollie, this is maximalist, this is, you've got to be nuanced. You do have to be nuanced when there's room for nuance. But guess what? Sometimes in life, there isn't a need for nuance. And actually, nuance can cloud your vision from the reality. That's sadly what led to the rise of Hitler. Because we were too willing to forego the evil that we were seeing before our eyes. There's a time for nuance, and then there's a time for moral clarity and maximalism. Yes, there is. And when it comes to the Palestinian cause, we have been delivered a brilliant PR stroke of genius. But it's based on lies from start to finish. And therefore, if you haven't already seen our documentary, The Invention of the Palestinians, How a Nation Was Invented to Destroy Another, have a watch of the trailer, and to watch the full thing, just click on the link below. in the video description, as well as being able to access a whole new range of JTV Plus premium content and have private group Zoom calls with me. Have a watch of the trailer. The Palestinians. We have been told they are an ancient people fighting for their homeland which has been stolen from them. This narrative has fueled decades of conflict, painting Israel as an occupier of stolen land. But what if this identity is not of an ancient nation, but a modern, cynical invention? A political construct designed not to build a state, but to dismantle the Jewish one. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to uncover the truth behind the creation of the Palestinian identity, how it was forged in the fires of pan-Arabism, absent in historical records until strategically rebranded in the 1960s by leaders like Egyptian-born Yasser Arafat to rally global opposition against Israel. We'll trace its roots from the Ottoman era, where Palestine was a region without a distinct people, through the pre-1948 years of Arab rejectionism, before focusing on the pivotal shift of the 1960s, when Arafat declared we should now be known as Palestinians, inventing symbols like the flag to mask genocidal aims. This wasn't about self-determination, it was about exploiting refugees, suppressing true aspirations under Arab rule, and perpetuating a war to destroy Israel. Join us as we debunk the myths of an ancient Palestinian nation, expose the strategic manipulation, and reveal how this construct has hindered peace while fueling hate. Fair but firm, this is the story of an identity weaponized not for building a future, but for erasing one. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.